driving through the country, sun is creeping through the window. Coming quiet, driving slowly, always better on the back road. Music playing, snow is falling, how could this get any better? Drinking coffee, keeping warm in my toboggan and a sweater. On the road for most of the day, dreaming while I'm driving, but I'm still away. Through the day and all through the night, I'm moving kinda slowly headed to you. Winter driving on the highway, heading to you in the morning. Coming quiet, driving slowly, heat is on and it is warming. Driving by some children playing games you play when weather's colder. Bells are ringing, choir singing, is that Santa flying over? On the road for most of the day, dreaming while I'm driving, but I'm still away. Through the day and all through the night, I'll be moving kinda slowly headed to you on my winter drive. I'll be moving kinda slowly headed to you on my winter drive. I'll be moving kinda slowly headed to you on my winter drive. I'll be moving kinda slowly headed to you on my winter drive. I'll be moving kinda slowly headed to you.
I've been drinking again. I've been singing those old songs, my friend. I've been out in the snow. I've been up to my nose. I've been drinking again. City lights are shining to take the children into town. I take my hand with nobody. I lock my lips with my old fling Jim Beam. I've been drinking again. I'm singing those old songs, my friend. I've been out in the snow. I've been up to my nose. So I've been drinking again. Cheerful music fills Northgate Mall. Potpourri and garland fill our dreams. fill on nobody. I get my fill on rhubarb digestive. I've been drinking again. I've been singing that old song, my friend. Face down on the floor, December 24th. Lord, I've been drinking again.
One, two, three, and... One day near Christmas, when I was just a child, Mama called us together. Mama tried to smile. She said, "You know, the cotton crop hasn't been too good this year. There's just no spending money, and, well, at least we're all here. I hope you won't expect a lot of Christmas presents. Just be thankful that there's plenty to eat." That's quite a blessing that'll make things a little more pleasant. And as kids got to thinking how blessed we really were. At least we're all healthy. And best of all, we had her. Roy cut down a big apple tree, and we drug it home, Jack and me. Daddy killed a squirrel, and Louise made the bread. Reba decorated the tree with popcorn strings before we went to bed. Mama and Daddy sacrificed because this Christmas was lean. But after all, there was a baby's Tom and Joanne. Babies need a few things. I whittled a whistle for my brother Jack, and though we fought now and then, when I gave Jack that whistle, he knew I thought the world of him. Mama made the girls' dresses out of flour sacks, and when she ironed them down, couldn't tell they hadn't come from town. A sharecropper family across the road didn't have it as good as us. They didn't even have a light, and it was way past dusk. And Mama said, "Why, I bet they don't even have coal oil or beans to boil, let alone apples, oranges, and such." Me and Jack took a jar of coal oil and some hickory nuts we'd found. We walked to the sharecropper's porch and sat him down. A poor old ragged lady eased open the door. She picked up the coal oil and the hickory nuts and said, "I sure do, thank you," and quickly closed the door. We started back home, me and Jack, and about halfway we stopped to look back. In the sharecropper's window at last was a light. So for one of the neighbors, and for us, it was a good Christmas night. Christmas came and Christmas went. Christmas that year was heaven sent.
Daddy put on his gumboots and waited for the thaw, back home in Diaz, Arkansas. Daddy never did stick around for very long. Mama said that he had died, but I don't know, looking back now, I think he might have took off with some of my brothers and sisters to the bigger city. Well, eventually, I got old myself and I settled down and I had a family. A daughter and a son, and well, my son got quite sick and that really hurt my daughter. I heard the story a few years later from a priest, and well, I'll share it now. The father heard church bells at midnight. That was the wrong time for bells to chime, so he went to the tower where he found a little girl there and said, "Why ring the bells at this time?" He said, "I'm just ringing the bells for Jim. Please, Father, ringing the bells for Jim. I'm sorry I'm crying, but my brother Jim's dying, so I'm ringing the bells for Jim. Please, Father, pray for him this Christmas. He's sick and he's in so much pain. The doctors all say he'll be gone any day, so I must ring the bells again. I'm just ringing the bells for Jim." On the day after Christmas, my daughter brought Jim to the priest and said, "Father, feed little Jim. You see, he got well when he heard the church bells. I was ringing the bells for Jim." Cancer took Jim from this world shortly after, and my wife left me with my daughter because she couldn't handle the broken family. Well, this wasn't my first Christmas tragedy. I want to share with you one of my last memories that I have with my mother. "Son," said my mother when I was knee-high, "of clothes to cover you, and not a rag have I. There's nothing in the house to make a boy's breeches. Nor shears to cut a cloth with, nor thread to take stitches. There's nothing in the house but a loaf end of rye, and the heart with a woman's head nobody will buy." And she began to cry. That was in the early fall. And when came the late fall, "Son," she said, "the sight of you makes your mother's blood crawl. Little skinny shoulder blades sticking through your clothes. And where you get a jacket from, God above knows. It's lucky for me, lad, your daddy's in the ground. And can't see the way I let his son go around." And she made a queer sound. That was in the late fall. When the winter came, I'd not a pair of bridges nor a shirt to my name. I couldn't go to school or out of doors to play. And all the other little boys passed our way. "Son," said my mother, "come climb into my lap, and I'll shake your little bones while you take a nap. And oh, but we were silly for half an hour or more. Me with my long legs dragging on the floor. I rocking to a Mother Goose rhyme. Oh, but we were happy for half an hour's time. But there was I, a great boy, and what would folks say? To hear my mother singing me to sleep all day, in such a daft way. Men say the winter was bad that year. Fuel was scarce, and food was dear. A wind with a wolf's head howled about our door. And we burned up the chairs and sat upon the floor. All that was left was a chair we couldn't break. And the heart with a woman's head nobody would take for song or pity's sake. The night before Christmas, I cried with the cold. I cried myself to sleep like a 2-year-old. And in the deep of the night, I felt my mother rise and stared down upon me with love in her eyes. I saw my mother sitting on the one good chair, a light falling on her face from I couldn't tell you where, looking 19 and not a day older, and the harp with the woman's head leaned against her shoulder, her thin fingers moving in the thin tall strings, where we weaving wonderful things. Many bright threads from where I couldn't see were running through the heartstrings rapidly, and the gold threads whistling through my mother's hands. I saw the web grow and the pattern expand. She wove a child's jacket, and when it was done, she laid it on the floor and wove another one. She wove a red cloak so regal to see. She's made it for a king's son, I said, but I knew it was for me. She wove a pair of breeches, and quicker than that, she wove a pair of boots and a little top hat. She wove a pair of mittens. She wove a little blouse. She wove all night in the still cold house. She sang as she worked, and the heartstrings spoke, but her voice never faltered and the thread never broke. But when I awoke, there sat my mother, with a harp against her shoulder, looking 19, not a day older. A smile about her lips and a light about her head, and her hands in the heartstrings frozen dead.
I'll see you afterwards, after everything, after the carols, after the trees, after the stockings, after all of these things. We can talk about it afterwards. I'd really like to skip it sometimes. I think I'll end up doing it again this year, so I guess we'll talk about it afterwards. After the family, after all the weird fighting, I'll see ya. Probably if you want, or we don't really have to see each other, we can just talk about it. That'll be afterwards, probably. We'll talk about it afterwards. So I hope it goes alright, whatever that may be. You can tell me about it afterwards.
Christmas by Vladimir Nabokov. After walking back from the village in his manor across the dimming snows, Stepslav sat down in a corner on a plush-covered chair he did not remember ever using before. It was the kind of thing that happens after some great calamity. Not your brother, but a chance acquaintance, a vague country neighbor to whom you never paid much attention, with whom in normal times you exchanged scarcely a word, is the one who comforts you wisely and gently, and hands you your dropped hat after the funeral service is over, and you are reeling from grief. Your teeth chattering, your eyes blinded by tears. The same can be said of inanimate objects. Any room, even the coziest and most absurdly small, in a little used wing of a great country house has an unlived-in corner, and it was such a corner in which Stepslav sat. The wing was connected by a wooden gallery, now encumbered with our huge North Russian snowdrifts, to the main house used only in summer. There was no need to awaken it, to heat it. The master had come from Petersburg for only a couple of days and had settled in an annex, where it was a simple matter to get the stoves of white Dutch tile going. The master sat in his out-of-the-way corner on that plush chair, as in a doctor's waiting room. The room floated in the darkness. The dense blue of early evening filtered through the crystal feathers of frost on the window pane. Ivan, the quiet, portly valet, who had recently shaven off his mustache and now looked like his late father, the family butler, brought in a kerosene lamp, all trimmed and brimming with light. He set it on a small table and noiselessly caged it within its pink silk shade. For an instant, tilted mirror reflected his lit ear and cropped gray hair. Then he withdrew, and the door gave a subdued creak. Stepslav raised his hand from his knee and slowly examined it. A drop of candle wax had stuck and hardened in a thin fold of skin between two fingers. He spread his fingers, and the little white scale cracked. The following morning, after a night spent in nonsensical, fragmentary dreams, totally unrelated to his grief, as Stepslav stepped out to the cold veranda, a floorboard emitted a merry pistol crack underfoot, and the reflection of many-colored panes formed paradisal lozenges on the whitewashed, cushionless window seats. The outer door resisted at first, then opened with a luscious crunch, and the dazzling frost hit his face. The reddish sand, providently sprinkled on the ice, coated the porch steps resembling cinnamon, and thick icicles shot with greenish blue hung from the eaves. The snowdrifts reached all the way to the windows of the annex, tightly gripping the snug little wooden structure in their frosty clutches. The creamy white mounds of what were flower beds in summer swelled slightly above the level snow in front of the porch, and further loomed the radiance of the park, where every black branch was rimmed with silver, and the firs seemed to draw into their green paws under their plump, bright load. Wearing high felt boots and a short fur-lined coat with a caracul collar, Stepslav stepped off slowly along the straight path, and the only one cleared of snow. Into that blinding distant landscape, he was amazed to still be alive and able to perceive the brilliance of the snow and feel his front teeth ache from the cold. He even noticed that a snow-covered bush resembled a fountain, and that a dog had left on the slope of a snowdrift a series of saffron marks which had burned through its crust. A little further, the supports of the footbridge stuck out of the snow, and there Stepslav stepped. Bitterly, angrily, he pushed the thick, fluffy covering off the parapet. He vividly recalled how this bridge looked in summer. There was his son, walking along the slippery planks, fleckled with aments, and deftly plucking off with his net a butterfly that had settled on the railing. Now the boy sees his father. Forever lost laughter plays on the boy's face, and under the downturned brim of a straw hat, burned dark by the sun, his hand toys with the chain of the leather purse attached to his belt. His dear, smooth, sun-tanned legs in their serge shorts and soaked sandals assumed their usual cheerful widespread stance. Just recently in Petersburg, after having dabbled in his delirium after school about his bicycle, about some great oriental moth, he died. And yesterday, Stepslav had taken the coffin, weighed down, it seems, with an entire lifetime, to the country, into the family vault near the village church. It was quiet as it can only be on a bright, frosty day. Stepslav raised his leg high, stepped off the path, and leaving blue pits behind him in the snow, made his way among the trunks of amazingly white trees to the spot where the park dropped off toward the river. Far below, ice blocks sparkled near a hole cut in the smooth expanse of white, and on the opposite bank, very straight columns of pink smoke stood above the snowy roofs of the log cabins. Stepslav took off his Cúl cap and leaned against a tree trunk somewhere far away. Peasants were chopping wood. Every blow bounced resonantly skyward, and beyond the light silver mist of trees, high above the squat log huts, the sun caught the equanimous radiance of the cross on the church. That was where he headed after lunch, an old sleigh with a high, straight back. The cod of the black stallion clacked strongly in the frosty air. The white plumes of low branches glided overhead, and the ruts in front gave off a silvery blue sheen. When he arrived, he sat for an hour or so by the grave, resting a heavy, woolen-gloved hand on the iron of the railing, which burned his hand through the wool. He came home with a slight sense of disappointment, as if there, in the burial vault, he had been even further removed from his son than here, where the countless summer tracks of his rapid sandals were preserved underneath the snow. In the evening, overcome by a fit of intense sadness, he had the main house unlocked. When the door swung open with a weighty wail, and the whiff of special unwintery coolness came from the sonorous, iron-barred vestibule, Stepslav took the lamp with its tin reflector from the watchman's hand and entered the house alone. The parquet floors creaked eerily under his step, room after room filled with yellow light, and the shrouded furniture seemed unfamiliar. Instead of a tinkling chandelier, a soundless bag hung from the ceiling, and Stepslav's enormous shadow, slowly extending one arm, floated across the wall and over the gray squares of curtain paintings. He went into the room which had been his son's study in summer, set the lamp on the window ledge, and breaking his fingernails as he did so, opened the folding shutters, even though all was darkness outside. In the blue glass, the yellow flame of the slightly smoky lamp appeared, and his large bearded face showed momentarily. He sat down at the bare desk and sternly, from under bent brows, examined the pale wallpaper with its garlands of bluish roses, a narrow office-like cabinet, with sliding drawers from top to bottom, the couch and armchairs under slipcovers, and suddenly, dropping his head onto the desk, he started to shake, passionately, noisily, pressing first his lips, then his wet cheek to the cold, dusty wood, and clutching its far corners. In the desk he found a notebook, spreading board, supplies of black pens, and an English biscuit tin that contained a large, exotic cocoon, which had cost 3 rubles. It was papery to the touch and seemed made of brown folded leaf. H's son had remembered it during his sickness, regretting that he had left it behind, but consoling himself with the thought that the chrysalid inside was probably dead. Stepslav also found a torn net, a tarlatan bag on a collapsed hoop, and the muslin still smelled of summer and sun-hot grass. Then, bending lower and lower and sobbing with his whole body, he began pulling out one by one the glass-topped drawers of the cabinet. In the dim lamplight, the even files of specimens shone silk-like under the glass. Here, in this room, on that very desk, his son had spread the wings of his captures. He would first pin the carefully killed insect in the cork-bottom groove of the setting board, between the adjustable strips of wood, and fasten down flat with pinned strips of paper the still fresh wings. They had now dried long ago and had been transferred to the cabinet. Those spectacular swallowtails, those dazzling coppers and blues, and the various fritillaires, some mounted in the supine position to display the mother-of-pearl undersides. His son used to pronounce their Latin names with a moan of triumph or an arcicide of disdain, and the moths, the first aspen hawk of 5 summers ago. The night was smoke blue and moonlit. Thin clouds were scattered along the sky, but did not touch the delicate icy moon. The trees' masses of gray frost cast dark shadows on the drifts, which scintillated here and there with metallic sparks. In that plush-upholstered, well-heated room of the annex, Ivan had placed a 2-foot fir tree and a clay pot on the table, and was attaching a cabinet to its cruciform tip where Stepslav returned from the main house. chilled, red-eyed, with gray dust smears on his cheek, carrying a wooden case under his arm. Seeing the Christmas tree on the table, he absently asked, "What's that?" Relieved of the case, Ivan asked in a low, mellow voice, "There's a holiday coming up tomorrow." "No, take it away," said Stepslov with a frown while thinking, "Can this be Christmas Eve? How could I have forgotten?" Ivan gently insisted, "It's nice and green, let it stand for a while." "Please take it away," repeated Stepslov, bent over the case he had bought. In it, he gathered his son's belongings: the folding butterfly net, the biscuit tin with the pear-shaped cocoon, the spreading boards, the pins in their lacquered box, the blue notebook. Half the first page had been torn out, and its remaining fragment contained part of a French diction. There followed daily entries, names of captured butterflies, and other notes. Walked across the bog as far as Brovovich. Raining today, played checkers with father, then read Grancharov's Frigate. A deadly bore. Marvelous hot day, rode my bike in the evening. A midge got in my eye, deliberately rode by her dacha twice, but didn't see her. Stepslov raised his head, swallowed something hot and huge. Of whom was his son writing? Rode a bike as usual, our eyes nearly met. My darling, my love. This is unthinkable, whispered Stepslov. I'll never know. He bent over again, avidly deciphering the childish handwriting that slanted up, then curved down in the margin. Saw a fresh specimen in the Camberwell Beauty today. That means autumn is here. Rain in the evening, she has probably left, and we didn't even get acquainted. Farewell, my darling. I feel terribly sad. He never said anything to me. Stepslov tried to remember, rubbing his forehead with his palm. On the last page there was ink drawing, the hind view of an elephant, 2 thick pillars, the corners of 2 ears, and a tiny tail. Stepslov got up. He shook his head, restraining yet another onrush of hideous sobs. I can't bear it any longer. He drawled between groans, repeating even more slowly, I can't bear it any longer. It's Christmas tomorrow, came the abrupt reminder, and I'm going to die. Of course, it's so simple. This very night. He pulled out the handkerchief and dried his eyes. His beard, his cheeks, dark streaks remained on the handkerchief. Death, Stepslov says softly, as if concluding a long sentence. The clock ticked. Frost patterns overlapped on the blue glass of the window. The open notebook shone radiantly on the table next to it. The light went through the muslin of the butterfly net and glistened on a corner of the open tin. Stepslov pressed his eyes shut, and a fleeting sensation that earthly life lay before him, totally bared, incomprehensible, and ghastly in its sadness, humiliatingly pointless, sterile, devoid of miracles. At that instant, there was a sudden snap. A thin sound like that of an overstretched rubber band breaking. Stepslov opened his eyes. The cocoon in the biscuit tin had burst at its tip, and a black, wrinkled creature the size of a mouse was crawling up the wall above the table. It stopped, holding onto the surface with 6 black, furry feet, and started palpitating strangely. It had emerged from the chrysalid because a man overcome with grief had transferred a tin box to his warm room, and the warmth had penetrated its taut leaf and silk envelope. It had awaited this moment so long, had collected its strength so tremendously, and now, having broken out, was slowly and miraculously expanding. Gradually, the wrinkled tissues, the velvety fringes unfurled, the fan-pleated veins grew firmer as they filled with air. It became a winged thing, imperceptibly, as a maturing face imperceptibly becomes beautiful, and its wings, still feeble, still moist, kept growing and unfolding, and they were developed to the limit set for them by God. And there on the wall, instead of a little lump of life, instead of a dark mouse, was a great Atticus moth, like those that fly bird-like around the lamps in the Indian dusk. And then those thick black wings, with gauzy eye spot on each and purplish bloom dusting their hooked foretips, took a full breath under the impulse of tender, ravishing, almost human happiness.